Do you wave your terrible towel when Renegade plays? Reach for a tasty cake when JJ shouts, "He scores!" Does the sound of an F1 engine make your heart race? Doing push-ups with the Nittany Lion after a TD? Then lend us an ear, and we will share the exhilaration of Steelers football, the excitement of Flyers hockey, the nail-biting finishes of F1, and the pride when we yell, "We are Penn State." Welcome to the SteelFlyers show, the strangest combination of sports fandom since pineapple was put on pizza. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the SteelFlyers show. We are super privileged to be joined by the writer extraordinaire, Lance Green from the Flyers Nitty Gritty Crew. How you doing, buddy?
All right.
Yeah, man, what a great pleasure it is to have you on the show once again. Like I said, it's a great pleasure to have you on the show, and we got a lot of great things to get into. So tell us, Lance, how can we follow you and how can we find you?
Sure. You can always look for my stuff at flyersnittygritty.com and follow me on Twitter if you want at LNGBASSIST39 and get all your latest information and stuff in the articles that I put out. I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, man, for sure. Love the articles. Love reading the stuff. So the particular important time of the year we're getting into right now, right between the free agency and right between the draft. Okay, and we have the draft coming up here on the weekend of the 6th and the 7th, and then free agency is going to start that following Monday. So, man, on that point, we're gonna begin, and we're gonna get to the latest set of articles here that you talk about some of these kind of moves that the Flyers are going to need to make in regards to potentially what we could do in the draft, and also potentially what we could do as far as trade wise and or what we could potentially do. So. Can't tell you what a pleasure it is to have you on the show, and we got some great articles that I really think that folks should really get into reading. Go to flyersnittygritty.com to check it out. He's got all the great stuff, and the one of the first ones that I want to get into is the low risk, high reward trade target for the Flyers. This is the first article that I want to talk about. And in this article here, potentially talk about a really good player that the Flyers could be looking to get into. And this would be like a trade. And we're talking about Julius Naitinen. And tell me something. What do you think? Why do you think that would be a good quality player that the Flyers should be looking to?
Sure. As I alluded into my article, Nattinen was a prospect of the Anaheim Ducks. Him and the Ducks had scuffles over his beginning of the season and progressed after that, worse and worse over the course of the years. They stuck him in the AHL, and he was a center, but he did just mediocre there, and both parties were kind of let down with his performance, him included. Yeah. And he decided to take his efforts and go back to his native country there, and he just had phenomenal season over the course of last season. And I mean, the kid's only 23 years old. As we stand now, he's 6'2", 205 pounds. He scored 33 goals, which led all of the Liga last season with goals, and he had 55 points, which was good enough for third overall in the Liga. He's also great defensively, with a plus 19 average on the season last year. So that's great from such a scorer. And the great thing about him was the fact that he kind of transformed himself a little bit as he went back to the Liga. He went from a underperforming center and developed himself into a powerful elite goal-scoring winger in that effort. Yeah. So just phenomenal talent. I think next season he's decided to go to Switzerland's National League and try it there. So he signed with them, but nobody's really got him on the radar. As I proposed before in another article, they have kind of tapped in, and we did in a sense with the signings we signed from the Swedish league, but he's just a talent that nobody's really talking about right now,
Yeah, because it's a
and most
name I
people
haven't
just
heard
gave
of.
up.
Yeah, it's a name
Yeah,
I haven't heard of, and that's another reason why I wanted to bring you on here, because you always seem to find these great players that have really good potential. I mean, I like the size that he brings. I like the fact that he's able to be a tough player. He plays the two-way game. He's not afraid to hit people. He's not afraid to bang bodies. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what the Flyers are looking for. What do we have to do to get him?
I would think most contracts over there they have an outlet clause, as he used actually to get out of his contract in the Liga when he wanted to jump ship and go to the Swedish league.
Yeah.
Not
So
Swedish.
his
He
rights
got
are
me
not
up.
owned by the Ducks, or is his
Yeah.
rights still owned by the Ducks?
He's terminated. His contract is totally terminated. We don't have to worry about them
Okay.
if we acquire him.
Okay.
Um, Basically, would have to get with the Swiss national team that he's now with, and a lot of those contracts have out clauses for this purpose. You know,
So they
if
can
somebody
join the
came
NHL.
calling, yes, somebody came calling, then he could just say, "Hey, thanks, but no thanks," and jump ship and go team.
Yeah, I mean, like, and look, we've seen guys that have decided to stay over there.
Right.
And, hey, that's great. You know what I mean? I think Dennis Seidenberg was one of those ones that decided to stay over there for a little while. You know what I mean? So and look, if you want to go over there and play, that's cool. I think Koivu played over there for a while, and so a bunch of other players have done it. So, do
One
you?
of the big signings that made it big, a comeback with that this year was Colorado's Valerie Nutrushkin.
Nitrushkin, yeah.
Butchered his name. Yeah, butchered his name there, but he had a phenomenal comeback year with Colorado that just gave him a chance. A first round
And that's
uh,
all they need.
pick there, and he just took a while longer developing, and maybe went over there again and regained his abilities and came back twice as strong.
Look, we know that it takes certain players a different time frame to develop. And especially like when you get into D men, they take a little bit longer, and I think goalies tend to take a little bit longer too, to develop a game. Where it's easy for guys to just put goals in the net, but it's different to develop that 200-foot game. You know what I mean? And it's you have to develop that responsibility of being defensive responsibility, and then okay, now I'm in the offensive zone. Now what are we going to do? You know what I mean? That's the easy part of the game, obviously, for a lot of players. You know what I mean? Do you think if we could get him, that he would have what kind of an impact he would have on our team?
No, I think he could fill in the bottom six. Um, Definitely, he's a goal scorer, and that's what we need. And the signing is not maybe as pretty or a big a name as somebody would like to, but
So what?
Flyers fans gotta face the facts here. We don't have the cap to sign any big name free agents. We're struggling right now to even get rid of salary enough to bring back restricted free agents like Hag and Myers and Nolan Patrick.
or
So
or even Elliott or somebody. Because
yeah,
that's another thing we're going to get into a little bit later on. That I want to get into that too, because that's the thing that has me a little bit worried. But that's why I really enjoy what you write, because you find that player that could be that obscure player that is not on the radar that could really help the Flyers and could really be on the cheap. I mean, what is the chances of us finding a relatively known commodity at 22, 23 years old, right, who's come out and finally discovered how to play the offensive game, and finally discovered that he can play offensively and defensively and put goals in. Look,
right.
this is why I like the way the NHL does things with contracts. You have to earn your money in the
You
NHL.
definitely do.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I really, really appreciate about the NHL is the fact that you have to earn your contracts. And you don't usually get that big money contract until you've been in the league for a year, two, three, depending on what you do or what position you are. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and I think that that's going to dovetail us right into. Now, look, I understand that this was an article that you had already posted a little while ago, but I think it plays nicely into exactly with what we're talking about here. And that is the changing of the guard for the Flyers, the article that you posted a little while ago. But once again, I think it's another great piece and what the Flyers need to really consider going forward. Because Carter Hart came out and said that he would really like to keep Elliott. Right?
Right.
Now, you played goal.
I did.
Okay? Why is this something of a serious need for the Flyers?
Well, I mean, if we can only look back to the season before last, where we had the carousel goaltenders that we had,
Oh.
um, you know, injuries happen. Injuries happen, and you have to have somebody that can step up and fill in those big shoes that Carter Hart's going to leave behind if he goes down. And with all the back-to-backs of this crazy season, that's going to, whenever it is played, there's going to be back-to-back nights, multiple nights with many games in a row. So we're going to need a second goaltender on the Flyers roster that can provide a solid start. And Elliott is getting a little up there in age. I mean, he provided a great year this year, numbers wise, and he came in and he's a great mentor, yes, to Carter Hart. But where do we go from here? How do we get better than we were the year before?
How do we improve? Yeah.
Last,
Yeah.
and that's what we need to look forward. We need to look forward rather than just staying the course.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
And a guy I said at that time, I think I wrote the article like a couple months back now, but was Anton Nadobin from the Dallas Stars. Now it seems like a great pick now, but I said this back I think in April that this guy was going to be unrestricted free agent this upcoming offseason, and he would provide a 1A
Easily.
talent easily, as he's shown in these playoffs, carrying the Dallas Stars when he had to pick up where others left off. So, but I don't think that will happen. From what the Flyers are, what kind of alluding to is obviously they would like to bring Elliott back because Carter Hart's comfortable with him. But I got to say, to Chuck Fletcher, Chuck, should you really listen
he's
to
listening.
a 22-year-old kid? He also wanted Cam Talbot to come in, and Cam Talbot had 4 games with the Flyers where he was 3.70 goals against average and a 0.881 save percentage. So let's leave the makeup of the team to the big boys, Carter. I think, and you just stick there and play net. What.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, bro.
I don't really care for to hear his suggestions. I want to upgrade here. I think, and I'm kind of working on a possible update to this article, actually, since Nadobin might be a little out of our price range, given that he might be even playing himself into a
starting
for another team next season. So I'm kind of working on a couple articles that give a couple different options for goaltending possibly next season.
Wow, that would be great. I mean, look, and this is another reason why I wanted to grab this one from you too, because of what the Flyers recently did this past week as they re-signed Alex Lyon. Okay, now we've all seen Alex Lyon play, and we feel that he's played really well. He's been able to take some games for us. He was able to come in and single-handedly win that Colorado game. That earned him pretty much his contract where he's at now. and would not have a problem with him being the backup to uh, to Carter Hart. What do you think about that? Do you like that idea?
I I like it for the sake of salary, to save salary to sign other players back. But I gotta disagree with you. I think Alex Lyon has had 4 or 5 seasons. I think this would be his 5th season with the
It
Flyers
is.
organization
Yes.
coming
Yep.
up. Yeah, and he's got a career of a 3.15 G goals against average with the Flyers, or just with the Flyers,
Yeah.
and subpar 900 save percentage. That's great as a bargain basement signing, but the years when he's came in this year, he came in 3 games and he had a 3.55 goals against average and a subpar sub 900 goals against save
Yeah.
percentage. And then
Yeah.
this the year before, when we really needed him the most,
Yeah. He
when
wasn't
both
there.
Carter Hart, Brian Elliott went down, he played in 2 games. He gave us 2 games with all those injuries,
Yeah.
and he had a 5.08 goals against average and a 0.086 save percentage in those 2 games with the Flyers. He's been a great AHL goaltender, but that seems to be a ceiling.
Okay.
And with this latest signing of him this season, I think it really begins to back up the prospects that we have coming in net. You know, Ustilomenko is there,
Yes.
and he's kind of fighting for his chance. I thought he might get his shot at a full-time starter role in the AHL and see what he can do. Alex has had 4 years previous, and he's really not been that guy that can come in and step up and play a game or two in the NHL and really carry the team for any length of time when injuries occur. And you also got to think about Felix Sandstrom, the Swedish goaltender that we have signed. Both those guys, now Sandstrom's going to be stuck down in the ECHL and not really given his shot. I thought both those guys would have been given that shot at the AHL to share time in net, and now they got to again share
Well,
with Ryan.
do you know
And
what?
and and among all that, I think it even further backs up one of the guys that might be the best Flyers goaltender, Elliott included, in the system. That's named Ivan Fedorov. Now, Fedorov purposely signed a contract with the KHL yet again because there's nowhere for him to play.
Not here. No.
Fedorov last year had a 2.10 goals against average and a 930 save percentage in the KHL, which is
Wow.
a second best league in the world,
Yeah.
considering.
Yeah.
And he's
Those are some
and
pretty
he's
good
even
numbers.
doing better this season,
Wow.
guys. He's
See,
played
man.
3 games so far. They started their season already over there, and he's posting a 1.7 goals against average and a 942 save percentage.
Wow.
Okay, this guy should be over here right
Yeah.
now, but with the Flyers keep signing back Lyon and other guys, there's no room for him to come over. So I think we're possibly going to end up losing him like we did Wyatt Kalachuk
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
Wisconsin defenseman.
Yeah.
He saw the depth and he said, "There's nowhere for me to play.
Yeah.
Bye."
Yeah.
You know,
And that's what we're
that's
gonna get to. Yeah.
that's a guy we don't want to lose, guys. He's possibly the best guy, not named Carter Hart, in the Flyers system in goaltending.
Do you think maybe they might have signed Lyon to be fodder?
I hope not. I don't know.
No, but I mean, like if they sign him so that he could be trade fodder, so that they could attach him to, or something. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Now that you really get into the amount of goalies that we've picked up, and I mean, I know that's something that Hextall was doing big time, was stacking the goalies, but
Which he
man,
should have. Which he
what?
should have. But now a lot of those guys are progressing, and Chuck Fletcher is signing Lyon is kind of put a halt to that. I don't think that whole trade fodder is gonna work in a sense
Just
because the
just
just the
asking.
sheer number,
Yeah.
yeah, right, the sheer number of unrestricted free agent goaltenders like Brandon Holtby, Corey Crawford, Jimmy Howard, Robin Lair, Craig Anderson, Jacob Markstrom, Thomas Greiss, Anton Nadobin, like previous
Yeah.
mentioned,
Yeah.
Mike Smith, Ryan Miller, and then you got restricted free agents that are gonna have to have something to do with the two guys in Pittsburgh, Tristan Jerry,
Yeah.
Matthew Murray,
Yeah.
and they got Casey D. Smith down there. So they're going to have to look at one of those guys possibly getting out of there. Montreal's got Carey Price and Jake Allen now that they traded for from St. Louis, and Caden Premu that is sitting down in the minors. Vegas is looking to get rid of Marc-Andre Fleury
Flurry. Yeah.
because they want to keep Robin.
Yeah.
And, you're thinking about buyouts with Hendrik Lundqvist.
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah.
going to be a bevy of goaltenders out there this offseason. And I just don't get the signing of Alex Lyon. I
Okay.
really don't.
But
That
that's why I
amount of
wanted
guys
to
out
approach that with you. That's why I wanted to approach
there,
that with you because,
that amount of guys out there, it's just a head scratcher to me.
yeah, it doesn't make any sense, especially when we're that cap strapped. You know what I mean? Why would you waste that kind of money on something that you could put towards somebody that could be better?
Yeah, I mean those guys that I mentioned, maybe we wouldn't look at one of those guys definitely, but there's other guys out there which I'm going to hint at in one of my upcoming articles that I'm working on here. That maybe we could have went out there and got an upgrade, and that's what I keep telling fans here. Prospects are great, but if we're not moving forward with those prospects
Then
and
it
year
doesn't.
after year we keep them hanging around, it begins to logjam the system here.
And then
And
it makes it to where guys don't want to come here because they have
have it
no place to play.
right.
And seriously, we need them
No,
on the ice.
no at the end.
Yeah, exactly. Don't cut off your nose to spite your face on that one. You know what I mean? Come on now. It's
Mm.
great to have depth, and I think we're going to need some of that depth. I think we're going to need some of that depth because we need to move some contracts and some people and some stuff.
We definitely do.
Yeah, and look, I that's why I wanted to talk to you about this one because I really think that the Flyers could have gotten a much better upgrade at goaltending than Alex Lyon. And even if they still go on the premise of re-signing Moose, okay, if you re-sign Moose, he's going to expect at least 2 mil at the
I,
very
I
least.
I don't know. Maybe they could get a home team discount and sign him something similar to what he signed this past season. But he was solid this year, but he really didn't put up spectacular numbers
No, he
as
was
we may
enough.
could get from somebody else, that I mentioned. All these guys are going to have somewhere to go, and a lot of teams already have spots filled, and that's why they're getting rid of some of these older veteran guys and different stuff like that are getting a little long in the tooth, and
Yeah,
maybe
but
we should follow suit in that.
yeah, but there's going to be some guys and some teams out there that are going to be able to come together. There's a couple of teams out there that have a lot of cap space that aren't going to have to worry about things. You know what I mean? And so those are the teams that are going to be picking up those guys too. Here's the other thing to consider too, and that is not this year, but the following year is going to be the the supplemental draft or the expansion draft. So that's going to change the whole landscape again. You know,
It will
because
indeed.
yeah, and I think they're going to go a different way than what Vegas did. Vegas did that. Let's win now. I think Seattle's going to build for the long haul, and they're just going to get for picks and for young guys and stuff. So yeah, we'll see.
We'll definitely see. I think you got to have a good mix, but regardless, I think we're going to lose a lot more than somebody like Pierre Bellemare, like we lost in the
To
last one.
Vegas, I know. Oh man, yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
we were
Uh,
lucky in that regards for sure. But we're definitely going to lose a good player this
Yeah,
time around.
exactly, because we're not going to be able to either. We won't be able to protect them and or whatever the case is going to be. You know what I mean? So, do you think that with the way the Flyers are right now, if we don't do if we make some little minor moves, okay, so let's say that we could grab, you know, Julius Nikkinen, if we could grab him for the same money that we got Lyon for, or I don't know what kind of money can we get him for?
I'm thinking that's under mill. I would think for sure. Something similar
Like a
that we
1 year
signed.
deal, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
1 year deal. I wouldn't want more than a 1 year deal, honestly. I would want to see him come in for under a million for a 1 year term to prove it. Kind of give him a shot at an NHL team again, and you know keep him under a million and see what he can do. Kind of similar to the deal that we signed Sandin for.
Yeah.
He's going to be a player that a lot of people have forgotten about already because it was kind of a hush hush signing and nobody really pumped him up too much because nobody knew who he was.
Right.
But I think he will definitely be productive and maybe fill in that Pitlick kind of role if Pitlick departs. But I think we're going to need some added depth still,
Okay.
even with Singh coming in.
No, I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%. And that's why I wanted to talk about that because I we're going to need to do something, and we're not going to be able to do anything major
Major.
or splashy. And we're going to have to do something, that is we're going to have to do our due diligence and find that guy that is going to be coming on the cheap that could be a little bit, everybody's been talking about grabbing all these older guys. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, I've
bringing
heard a
in
lot of talk about Bobby Ryan and all this stuff, and
and and
I,
and,
I
and
would have loved to
Huffman
have. I would
and
have had. I
Huffman.
loved to have him 5 years ago, but
Right.
the guy's like 32 or 33 years old now, and that's just taking a step backward in my mind. I think he only had like 5 goals this past season. Um, no, thank you. I'll pass.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm all for having vets on the team, and I'm all for
Hmm.
having experience on the team. But if you're, and this is what like we thought that we were going to get from, like we talked about before with Thompson and Grant. We thought we were going to get an upgrade in certain areas, and that just didn't happen. You know
Right.
what I mean? And that's kind of what I think is going on here. So we're going to have to do something ugly, and we're going to have to do something that's not pretty, and we're going to have to do something that's probably not fan friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be, what do you think about, okay, we make a couple minor moves and we do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. We shed potentially Grant, Thompson, maybe Braun, we shed. Maybe we bring back Pitlick. We bring back Haig and Myers, okay? And then that's pretty much all we can do, okay? So
Right.
let's say we don't move Ghost, we don't move JVR. They're still signed, they're still on the team. What do you think about the team going forward?
I,
If we just do those little minor tweaks,
right.
and we just leave JVR, leave Ghost, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to move them. Honestly, obviously, you would want to get rid of that salary if you can. But if you look at recent trades like Hornquist and Stahl from the
Stall,
Rangers,
yeah. Boy, they were
basically
one
being given
sided.
away
Yeah, they were one
with
sided
second
trades,
round
big time.
pick, it was just like, please take this salary so we can do. Uh, and that's what we would have to do in order to get rid of possibly Ghost and JVR. Maybe not to that extent with giving up a second round pick as well with them, but people are a little leery of teams that are a little leery about bringing on massive contracts right now with the uncertainty of the season even. So moving forward with that, if we kept the two in place and hopefully talked Seattle into possibly taking one of those two guys, JVR or Ghost. this following postseason, after this following postseason, then I think that we'll be okay. But it's going to be a rough year this upcoming season. We're going to be where we were last year. Hopefully, Lindblom can come back in and come back 100% like he was. I think the team would have been different position altogether if he was healthy
And
all season long.
agreed, because we wouldn't have needed Grant and or Thompson, one of the other two. You know what I mean? Because he would have been because yeah, that's what they did. You know what I mean? So
And I think if the Flyers were gonna have to shed some salary, if we can't get rid of somebody enough to sign back Myers and all, I think you're gonna have to give up somebody like a Scott Lawton or somebody like that. It wouldn't be pretty. I love the guy, but you're gonna have to give up somebody of value,
yeah,
like Pittsburgh did for Hornquist.
yeah,
Um,
or
in
a,
order to,
a really good prospect we'd probably have to give up
yeah,
too, maybe.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, in order to shed that salary, you're going to need to shed salary, though. So that's why I was kind of saying Lawton in that regards to get there to the point of being able to sign back the players that we need to sign back. Myers is going to
yeah,
be a big part of it, and even that moving forward, we still got to remember Hart's coming up after this next season. So he's gonna require at least $6 to $7 million a season, I would think.
that's a good way
Uh,
to put that. Require.
I, yeah, I mean he's definitely earned it, and we're gonna need to find that salary somehow because he's making 700 and some $1,000s right now. So that's a
Oh
huge,
man.
huge increase, and thankfully Niskanen will be coming off the books uh,
You
after
know
that
what though?
season. So
You know what
that
though?
should
We
help.
might not have to give him that 6 or 7 million for his first contract. You really think we're gonna have to do that? He seems like now. Look, I understand what you mean. Okay, and let's face it, the big
Yeah,
names and all the great goalies right now, they're making that now, but they're
right.
also in their 30s. Okay, and their first big contract coming up was not $6 or $7 million a year. It was like 2 or 3, right?
Yeah, but that was also you're looking at 5 to 7 years ago, and where that stands. So
Okay,
now par for the course for one of those guys is
like
reaching ten
four or
million
five.
dollars, and I think you'll see that out of. We'll see where the ballpark is for those top prospect guys or those top round guys with like the signing of Robin Linier
Yeah,
for Vegas. I think
yeah.
if they bring him back, we'll see what that should be because he's definitely one of the best in the game right now. I don't think it'll be Carey Price money. I think teams are trying to go away from that, but we'll get a better estimate of how teams value
Once he gets to
goaltenders.
that, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
once
Okay.
he's gone, maybe a Braden Holtby will get a decent year or two contract still from a team who wants to compete.
Yeah, yeah. No, I completely agree. Completely agree. And that's one of why I wanted to get into some of these things. One of the last articles that you've been teasing that I want to kind of let you do a little preview on and kind of give us a little hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, whatever you want to do here. You did an interview with James Hardy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how did that go?
It went great. I wrote about him in a previous article, and I love this kid. He is a elite sniper. He had a season last year where he had 33 or 34 goals on the season,
Yeah.
but he went a whole month without even scoring a goal early on in the season because he just wasn't playing with the right players. Once the team moved him up to the top line, the Mississauga Steelheads moved him up there. He was playing with the players that could get him the puck, and he just started throwing pucks in the net right and left. And the kid's
Awesome.
phenomenal person. I got the opportunity to talk to him over Zoom and
Nice.
conduct an interview with him. And that article actually will be coming out tomorrow morning, I believe. So
So
look
this
for
is
that
pretty
guy.
timely then. This is pretty timely that we're
Yeah,
doing this now. You get to give us a little preview on that too. So that's awesome, man. I'm really excited about reading that. So he would be a good prospect for us, or would he be a good draft? Or is he a draft potential
he's going to be a
draft?
draft. He's going to be in this year's draft. He's underrated, definitely in my mind. He's his scoring stats are right up there with some guys that are first round draft picks and or second round draft picks. But because of that kind of month or two hiccup that he had where early on in the season where he really
Yeah.
was working hard but just wasn't going in for him, he's underrated on most draft boards to be a third, fourth, or even
Wow.
fifth round pick.
Wow.
So if the Flyers could sneak in there and
Scoop that up.
maybe take him at one of those later round picks, that would be phenomenal because I
Yeah.
think he's gonna develop into that pure sniper that Owen Tippett if you would that's with Florida right now. That just pure goal scorer.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah. And
think the Flyers definitely need that. A shoot first mentality guy, Gagne. In that sense, a guy
which
that
we
just
haven't
gets the
had.
puck and fires it. We haven't had. We haven't had it all. So
And look, I'm gonna quote the great pearls of wisdom, and he says that we need creativity on the team, and I have to agree with him 100% because we were completely outmatched in the playoffs this year. We were completely exposed. We were completely predictable. Okay,
right,
we don't have that player on the team that gives us that whiteboard material for the other team. They're not game planning for one particular person. Look, I understand if you want to build a team that has more than 10 guys that score 20 goals a game or 20 goals a year. That's great. I'm all for that. However, I need that one guy who every time he steps on the ice is a threat.
exactly. Like I said in my article, I think Hardy could be that eventually. We have a loaded system of playmakers right now with Giroux and Voracek in the system, but on the team. But nobody really is that guy that, like you said, can just step foot on the ice and be an absolute threat to score every time. I'm tired of seeing the Flyers cycle the puck and cycle the puck and cycle the puck on the power play, and
And
nobody
nothing.
fired.
Yeah.
There was times in the playoffs that they may have got one shot off on a whole 2-minute power play.
And being
That's
down in the
ridiculous in
and
my
being
mind.
down in that end the whole 2 minutes.
Yeah, just cycling the puck, waiting for the perfect shot. I'm sorry, I need a guy that can just fire the puck on net at will and have a bevy of shots in his arsenal to just let loose at any given time for
Exactly.
whatever comes his way.
Exactly. I have to agree
And
with you
and James
100%.
Hardy is that guy. So that would be a great pickup. Look for that article out
Yeah.
tomorrow morning. Flyers
Cool.
nitty gritty guys. It's a great piece, and it lets into where he is now with all the draft process and what he's been doing with his time off to get better with all the
Yeah.
COVID that stuff. So
Yeah. Because
it's
that
a great piece. I think it's
awesome.
one of my pieces I've done lately. So
Ooh, because you've been really busy, man. This last month you've been churning them out, man, for sure, right? So
this time of year is like Christmas for me. With the
that
prospect, I love prospects. I love the idea of trades and bettering the team. This everybody's potentially a Stanley Cup champion again after this season
yeah,
ends.
right. Everybody's
Until the
0
season
and 0.
starts. Yeah, everybody's 0-0. We got a clean slate, and we can start fresh. So this is
I
just
like
my
that
time of year.
attitude. Yeah, I like that attitude. And this, especially with this year being a bit abbreviated. You know what I mean? Because we're going to have the end of the Stanley Cup is going to be no matter what Wednesday if they go to Game 7 is I think it's Tuesday, right?
Yeah,
Right?
something like that.
Tuesday or
Hmm.
Wednesday is the last game, and then we that's it until we start back again with the next season. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
there should be no time for a slow start. next season. Whenever it does get going, there's going to be no time for a slow start. You need to jump right in, and I think AV will definitely have his guys whenever you can get them in there again. Get them in there going and be ready for the next season.
Yeah, and I've been seeing that they might be able to open facilities early.
Soon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
soon. So to be able to get guys back in, you know what I mean? Because we've had like the other teams that didn't get into those playoffs have been sitting since March
Right.
that haven't done anything. You know what I mean? So we're gonna have to get guys starting to skate again and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm with you on that for sure. Lance, man, we're just gonna start calling this the Lance Green Show. Cause man, you can come on here anytime you want, man, and you just have run of the place. All right. So
Much
this is the
appreciated.
Lance Green Show, and I'm just the humble, lowly host here. Lance, tell us how we can find you. Tell us where we can get that new article coming out tomorrow, and how we can follow you.
Definitely, guys. Thanks for having me on again. Look for that new article out tomorrow on flyersnittygritty.com. James Hardy, fabulous prospect the Flyers should draft. And follow me on Twitter, guys, at LNGBASSIST, the numbers 39. All right?
Yeah, man. Thank you very much, Lance, for being on the show. Once again, it's a great privilege and a pleasure and a blessing to have you on here. You can find all my stuff right there, SteelFlyers.com. Once again, thank you, Lance, for being on the show. Remember, folks,
Sure.
stay strong, stay tough, and hang tough.